Recently, I talked about the fact that we were bringing some mushrooms into the pharmacy, and we're really at that point where I want to take a deep dive on the mushrooms that we're carrying, the different kinds, and what that might mean for you. We've chosen a brand called Purest Mushrooms, and as always, we've really done our homework. We looked at a couple other brands, some liquids. So I was very impressed with what Purest Mushrooms told me. I did some reading behind the scenes. Some of the things I think that are really important to know is the Purest mushrooms, they are raised in organic farms. A lot of mushrooms that are used medicinally are raised in warehouses. They're grown on wood. You know, mushrooms will grow on trees. They'll grow in the lawn. But these are actually grown like they're in organic farms, like they're a crop. And the other key is the part of the mushrooms that they use to make their products are called the fruiting bodies of the mushrooms. So mushrooms have different, they look different, but we think of a mushroom as a stem and a cap. Now, they may not all look like that, but the makeup of them is very similar, even though they look differently. So the fruiting bodies of the mushrooms are really in the caps and the stems. And if you think of a mushroom cap and you look at it underneath, there's a pattern. It looks like gills. And the gills really are very important because the spores that are produced are part of the process of what happens in the caps. And the nutrients from the soils come up through the stems. So they use the fruiting bodies to extract the ingredients that they put into their products. I equate it somewhat with some of the CBD conversations we've had where they use the whole plant. This is a kind of like that. They're using more of the plant instead of just isolating some of the myceliums that they're getting from something grown in a warehouse. They're using the more of the whole plant that's grown in an organic farm. So what can mushrooms do? As a whole, medicinal mushrooms are really good for inflammation, immune function, gut health, cognitive function. They all kind of have that base of value to them, but different mushrooms exhibit different strengths. And that's really what I'll probably spend the rest of the video on, is explaining, you know, what is lion's mane. And we've started to see people walk into the pharmacy, and it's why we really did a fast track on the research on this, because we felt a need to be a supply for patients. They were walking in, and I remember sitting in my office and hearing a patient say, "Do you have the mushroom lion's mane?" And it was that was really the stimulus for us. Let's really research this and find what we can so that the public can trust the mushrooms that we're buying, just like any of the other supplements that we carry. We want to make sure that they're the highest quality, they'll give us the best outcomes, and you can trust our products. So, lion's mane, and again, inflammation, immune function, heart health, cognitive function, overall mushrooms. Lion's mane, which is the #1 selling product in this particular market, it's really cognitive and nerve system report. In the people I'm talking to, they actually talk about neuroregeneration. So people with nerve damage, you know, somebody who's maybe come off of chemotherapy and they have a foggy brain and they have some neuropathy in their fingers and toes, I think this might be a really nice option, because if it does what it says it does, we may get some increased neural regeneration, which would be nerve healing. So lion's mane's their #1 product. About 50% of their sales is lion's mane. Cordyceps is their second one, and it really targets energy, stamina, and endurance. So fatigue, stress-induced problems that zap your strength, I think Cordyceps is a really nice choice. I also think that if somebody's having some cognitive function and maybe some fatigue, maybe it's a combination of the two. 2 tablets a day is a typical dose. So maybe somebody would take 1 lion's mane and 1 cordyceps in a day. So they're covering a little bit more of the target that they're looking for. The next one we'll talk about is Reishi. It's for stress, sleep, and hormonal support. So somebody who's under severe stress, doesn't sleep very well, hormones are kind of messed up, I think Reishi might be a really good choice. And again, if part of what you're dealing with is, well, my brain's fogged, my stress is fogging out my brain, then maybe a combination of lion's mane and Reishi is where you need to go. So there's many ways to use these. We're learning about those combinations. Another one is turkey tail. Turkey tail's microbiome, that's our gut health. So if you're dealing with somebody or in the family or yourself who's taking, say, a medication for reflux, and we now know that those aren't always the best things for you because of the loss of stomach acid, would something like turkey tail be something that you would then incorporate into your efforts to try to reduce your intake of these medications? And lastly, there's 5 of them. And lastly, Chaga. And Chaga's antioxidant, and again, another digestive support. I also learned that Chaga is good to help maintain blood sugars. So if you're battling blood sugars, your type 2 diabetic symptoms are bothersome, Chaga might be a good choice for you. But Chaga and Cordyceps might be a good combination because your increased blood sugars are zapping your energy and hurting your ability to sleep, and Chaga and Reishi might be that combination. Now, I do believe most of the answers lie in a single product because of their far-reaching avenues of what they can treat, but combinations might also be something that's effective. So we have them in the store. They're brand new. We just put together a deal with the company, and we have plenty, and we'd be more than thrilled for you to stop in and discuss your option of using medicinal mushrooms.